Wow. Okay. So, I guess this is the first recap I'm making with my setup. Well, set up, quote unquote. I actually do have first recap video for a game using my setup. I do have the only thing I'm missing are really just monitors and an actual PC thing. So I'm still recording from the laptop. You know, everything that you've seen before this was most likely on the laptop. Because I don't think from here to when this gets posted, I don't think I'm gonna have monitors or anything yet. But we are here. This is a recap video for Gamers Paradise 8. And the way that this game goes is all 8 players. Yes, there are 8 players this season. We usually choose from a cast pool between of 8 and 11. There are 8 players this season, just like there were last season, and they are going to have 24 hours to play a game. After that, the lowest scorer heads down to what I call the passing. The highest scorer then makes an anonymous decision to send 2 other players with that lowest scorer to the passing. Once the 3 players are in the passing, they then play another game with the same time frame of 24 hours. And the highest score from there returns to the game and gets to vote with the rest of the house. The other 2 then have to plead on why they deserve to stay. Bada bing, bada boom, the house votes except for the player who wins, unless it's a tie, kind of like Big Brother rules. And yeah, basically last person standing wins. Let's go ahead and meet the 8 new players coming into the Battle 8. That's right, 8 new for Battle 8. It's time to see the memory wall now, too. Alright, so it is week 1 and everyone has moved in to the house. The 8 players are now ready to go, and their first challenge is Helix Jump. Matt is the winner of the first challenge, so think about it. He's a brand new player. Not just to this game, because everyone's new to this game, but to the games overall, and he won the first challenge, proving that he should not be a force, that he's not a force to reckon with. There we go, that's what I was looking for. The lowest score was Akeem, because he didn't submit. Then Matt was given a choice to choose 2 players to send down to the passing. He chose Ronald and Ashley. And the next game was Stack Jump, which is what those 3 had to play. And the winner was the other brand new player, Ronald. This round really proved that the rookies, they are not to be messed with. Because out of everyone in this game, Tressa and Ronald, I believe Ashley too, maybe a little bit, have knowledge about like actual reality TV shows, while the others are just here to play. So this could get messy. But in the end, that means that Akeem and Ashley were the bottom 2, and there would have been an eviction. However, the decision was mine this round. And due to Akeem not submitting on this passing game either, he was DQ'd for inactivity. Yep, he was disqualified. So let's move on to week 2. So now we're heading into week 2. And their competition is called Tricky Track. Yep, it's a brand new game that has never been in any of our competitions before. People wanted a new game. That's what they got. Man, and were they pretty pissed. They got so mad at the game. But Matt won, making this his 2nd win in a row, and Ashley was the lowest scorer. Then, once Ashley was announced to head into the passing, Matt then chose Kylie and AJ to follow her into the passing. After that, they played Color Road. The winner was Kylie, and she got to return. AJ and Ashley had to give a plea, but Ashley didn't have time to give one. AJ gave in his plea, and after the vote, it was a tie of 2-2. Matt had the final decision, and by a vote of 3-2, Ashley was evicted. So now, at week 3, everyone is given a game, and it is Wacky Run, which is another new game that is making its way into this competition, our competitions, for the very first time. And right before the game ends and the 24 hours ends, I give them a poem/riddle that will hint at their next twist. They have no idea what it actually is. So, before I announce the lowest scorer, the twist was actually a twist from season 1, week 2. That was the week that Kelsey won. Dante got the lowest score, and she sent down Gio and Maria. And what had happened in that season, and the rules didn't change for this one, is if any of her nominees that were sent down win, they both come back up. But if the lowest scorer won, then it would just stay the same. And so I explained it to them that the winner's nominees, if they win, if one of them wins, both of them get to go back up, and the winner replaces them as the second nominee in the threat of eviction. But if the lowest scorer wins, then the lowest scorer will go up by his or herself, and the 2 players that the winner sent down will be up on the chopping block. So, the winner is Matt. This should be no surprise to anyone. 3rd time winning in a row. He's actually a beast. Despite being new, he's a beast. The lowest score was Tressa. So now it's Tressa. And Matt sends down Kylie and Ronald. So the passing players are Tressa, Kylie, and Ronald. After explaining this twist to Matt, Matt is actually in a bit of a panic due to a curse that hasn't actually been proven. And that curse, which what we spoke about, was that the players who usually are the lowest scorer in that week are the ones that go home. But despite looking at what we've already known from the past 2 evictions, those could have actually been changed if we wanted it to. I had the decision to send home the first player because they were inactive. Matt could have sent home anyone last week between Ashley and AJ to break this curse. So to me, there was actually no evidence that corroborated this curse. So, the 3 that are down in the passing now play Fireballs 3D, and the winner is Tressa, meaning Matt is saved due to Tressa's winning, and the twist is now over. And by a vote of 2-1, Ronald was the next player evicted from the GP house. And it is on for the next week. As before I let everyone know their next game, I announced that it is a double eviction. But in the past, we did a double eviction where the players who get sent down, the bottom 2 would be eliminated immediately, and there would be no vote, because then the 1 or the 2 that had the most, they'd stay. But from this point forward, we're doing double evictions a bit differently. The way double evictions will now work is 4 people will be sent to the passing. Usually double evictions are always at final 5, so only 1 person is really safe and submitted into the semifinals. The other 4 go down into the passing and are given a game with the same time set of 24 hours, just like how the passing normally works. Now, after the 24 hours are up, the player out of the 4 that has the lowest score, he or she gets booted automatically. And then with 3, the passing pretty much works the same. I mean, the rest of the game pretty much works the same, as the winner of that passing game comes back up into the house, and the other 2 must plea for their life in the game, and the only person that has the option to vote, or has the chance to vote and make the final verdict, which must be made publicly, is the only person who was sent out of the passing and back up into the game. So just like normal, the winner of the round doesn't make a decision. So the game was Snake versus Block. Now you probably are like, "Oh, we finally did that game." Yeah, can't have a competition without Snakes versus Block. It's a series staple. And the winner was, you want to guess? Matt. So that means the lowest scorers and the passing players were Tressa, AJ, Kylie, and Sam, which the rest. The game is a maze. Now, before we announce who goes back up, we announced who was the bottom player, and that was unfortunately Kylie. So Kylie is the first one out this night. And then Tressa and AJ plead for their life, and Sam makes the final decision to evict AJ, and by a vote of 1-0, AJ has been evicted from the GP house. Now we move on to the following week. Now that the double eviction is over, we have a final 3, and before I say anything, final 3 is actually gonna go as planned. So in the past, it never went as planned, but the way it was supposed to work is like Big Brother. In Big Brother, they play 3 HOH competitions. The winner of the first and second one head to the part 3, and the person to lose the second part becomes the first nominee. Then the 2 players that won the first part and the second part play in the final part to then decide who overall wins and who they will evict. Now, this is how it went. It goes the same for this game. So the first game that they played was Flip, Jump, Stack. And the winner of that, no surprise, was Matt. He went straight on to part 3. So now it was Sam versus Tressa in Gate Rusher. These 2 games that I just said, new games. New games. Yeah, your boy's gonna pull up the stops with the new shit. And Sam, sorry, can't English. Sam won that one against Tressa, making Tressa the first nominee. So Sam and Matt went head to head in Dune. Yes, the impending Dune. In which Matt won, and Samantha became the second nominee. Now, Matt actually rage quit and turned in early for the third part. That's the first time I have seen rage at a game in the competition, because he was doing so well. And then he still won. Sam still lost. And he got to make the final decision. By a vote of 1-0, Tressa was the final house guest evicted from the GP house. Now we head on to the finale. There it is. It's the end of the season. And the winner is Matthew. But before we show how this winner came to be, which shouldn't be any shock, let's talk about the round. So the final game was Tenkyu. 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 And they had to get the highest score possible. Now both Matt and Sam, when they brought in their scores, they had no score. They just had levels. So I had to use the levels as the definer. And Matthew, with over 200 levels, won. And he is the first person in Gamers Paradise history to have a flawless game. No possibility of going into the passing, no possibility of eviction, no nomination. He didn't have to give a speech. And he won every single round. So he made all the decisions. So, let's have a word with our winner. The only person to come as close as he did to having a flawless game was Zara from Season 5. But now let's see how it goes. Let's talk to him right now. All right, hey everyone. So I am now here with Matthew, the winner of season 8. Matthew, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good. It was pretty fun. It was an enjoyable game.
So Matthew is actually the only person, if you guys already just watched, since you already just watched the last part, who actually won, or actually had a flawless game, which means no passing, no possibility for evictions. He didn't have to give a speech, nor did he ever had to worry about his time in the game because he was controlling every aspect of the game. So how does that feel, knowing that you were in control every single time?
It was very comforting. And there's only one time that I wasn't sure what was gonna happen, and that was when I had to send 2 people down there that I thought were gonna lose to Teresa, and then Teresa actually won. That was the only time I actually worried about anything.
By the way, I regret not putting money on the table for that one. We should have bet.
You really should.
We should have bet on that.
Joe, you should have saw my face when Teresa actually won. I was like, what the hell happened?
I told you. I did tell you, like, I know this game from the back of my hand. If history repeats itself, then they are not going to win again. And there's nothing's going to happen with that twist. I'm glad I inserted it again, though. Knowing that now that it pretty much feels like it doesn't work, I'm not going to implement it anymore. I'm going to try to think of other shit. Anyway, so yeah. So, first question I want to get out of the way. Had Sam not been in this game, who do you think you would have partnered up with?
I don't know. I was feeling Ronald, actually. I don't know why. I didn't know anybody.
Yes, actually, if anything, Matt and Ronald were actually the only 2 new newbies who've never played in any other game before, and they were up against all these other people who've had experience in the past with any of my competitions, even going up against people who during their first game had made it to the final, such as Ashley and Akeem. AJ even made a final at one point, and Sam also made a final. So he was playing against a lot of bigwigs, but also at the same time, he felt like he had control, so he was ready to do what he had to do. He knew he was gunning for it, and he's winning. So usually what I do is I go week by week and try to ask you, like, yo, so during the first week, you this, and that. But what I realize is you had power the entire week, or the entire time, so there isn't much for me to ask. So what I'm going to ask here right now is if you could switch any eliminations, like say you want one person to have gone earlier or one person to have stayed longer, who would you have switched?
To be honest, no one. It actually worked perfectly, like with the way that I thought.
Okay, so yeah, so just to give you guys a little bit of background on some of the players as well, since I did talk about how this was pretty much a stacked game, or could have been a stacked game potentially. Akeem played one game. No, he played 2 games. He made it to the final in both those games. Ashley's first game, she made it to the final. Sam's first game, she made it to the final. And AJ recently just made a final. So that's already half the players. Tressa, she actually comes from like the Facebook community. So, and they are a lot harsher than what you'll see on Snapchat. So she knows how those people play, and so that's why she said what she said to you before she left.
That was funny. I started laughing. That was really funny.
And then let's see, Ronald and you again are the only 2 new newbies, but I feel like I'm missing something. Who am I missing? I gotta take a look at the picture right over here.
If you want, I can go through my game plan, because I did have a little bit of a game plan going into week 2 especially.
All right, let's hear it. Let's go.
Well, pretty much going into week 1, I grinded the game. Like, I no-lifed it. And I won by flying colors. So then going into the second game, I knew I wasn't risking anything, really. So I kind of didn't play as much to see who would have gotten closer to me. And once I didn't play a lot, and I still won that game, I knew I was pretty much comfortable for the rest.
All right, so I see where his game plan was, and that's actually a good game plan. When you feel comfortable with yourself and allowing yourself to know, like, oh, you're going to take this by storm, because
I tried to gauge how much I actually had to try in all the games.
And it seems like
how much I had to play.
There you go, and it seems like it worked out for you really well. Like I said, you're the only person to play flawlessly. There's only one person who came close to you, but she didn't even win. And she never went to the passing. She was never nominated, but she didn't win either. But she didn't, and also she didn't win all the rounds. Her friends would win all the rounds, but that would have kept her safe. So she had a solid alliance. But it seems to me, by the way, Matt and Sam were the showmans of the season. And not only that, they kept it on the down low and downplayed their relationship. So if they didn't have control for a week, there wouldn't be a reason to separate them. Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so that's actually a good strategy, is if you're in a relationship with somebody, just, like, have them make an agreement to just downplay their relationship. So if there's a week or there's a round that you guys have no control in, there's not a reason to break you up, because you guys, aren't a pair, even though you guys know you are a pair. Yeah, that's my plan. That's my plan going into any game, is if I have any relationships, just act like I don't have them. But
yeah,
no.
The only thing that really helped is just by me winning every game, like I felt in control of everything. Like I knew what was gonna happen, kind of.
Yeah.
Except for that 1 week, like I said.
Yeah. That week actually was a nice curveball to see whose game I would throw off. And I think I threw off Tressa's game. Because Tressa's game was always scoring low. And then she decided to score high this time because she knew that it would have to keep you safe, and then there wouldn't be like anything going on. Although I wonder, and you might even know the answer to this, had that twist actually worked, do you think you would have went home that week?
Yes, because I know that everyone else knew that I won the past games, and they knew I was in control of it the whole time, so it would have been smart to kick me out.
Alright. That's a good point that you make. Yeah. So, also to explain a little better about these games, I am not allowed to say who wins each round. Not at all. The only time that they'll find out who won each round is if they watch this video that you're watching right now. So that's how they know who wins each round. But everyone pretty much knows that Matt was in control the whole time, because it was pretty obvious, especially at the final 5 during that double eviction where all 4 people who didn't win would have to go. It was obvious that you won because you're the only one who didn't have to. Yeah. So let's see what else I can ask you about, because I feel like I need to pick your brain a little more. Since this was your first time, you did what I would say is beginner's luck, but if you're winning back to back to back, it's not beginner's luck. It's you're sweaty. You're fucking sweaty.
Yeah, I just love video games. Everybody that knows me knows that. I play video games like I used to, at least. I used to play video games like 12 hours every day.
He just goes room. So
Yep.
yeah, there's that. So with that said, how did it feel knowing that you and your girlfriend were both in the final?
Well, good and scary, because I didn't know if she was going to get mad at me low-key, though. But she didn't. Low-key.
I think she knew what she was in for. This entire time, she knew that you were going to win. I'll put money on the table for that she knew that by the end of it, you were going to win. I don't know if she was trying to downplay her skills just because of that, because I don't know. But again, the game that she did come in 3rd place, which she was in the final, which was her first, she did have a partner. And so it was a combined score of her and her partners that pushed them forward. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. It's all I got. So, Matt, I appreciate you calling and talking to me about your experience in the game.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate it a lot, and I'm glad that you played and you got it down. Maybe in the future you'll be playing against some greats, and we'll see how you do then.
Yep, we'll see.
It'll be more, probably the next time you come back to play anything, it'll probably be more knowledge-based. So let's see how we do in that category. Which I believe in you in that category, honestly. Especially if you're in a team. I feel like you'll do fantastic.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if you won that game too. But
We'll see what happens.
we'll see. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this and other things on our channel. Anyway, peace out.